Hello again and welcome to Pick Yourself, the podcast that helps you build a meaningful electronic music career. If your goal is to create and release outstanding music on respected labels, get better bookings and grow a tribe of true fans instead of just social followers, then this show is for you. My name is Philip, thanks for tuning in, and now let's get right into today's episode. This is episode 28 of Pick Yourself, and as always, I'm super happy to have you here with me again, week after week. This show airs every Tuesday, and our little community is growing quite fast, which is amazing to see. So if you want to hang out with some of the other podcast listeners, if you want to get to know some interesting characters, just head over to our little Facebook community. It's a private group that you can access. Just go to pickyourselfpodcast.com/community and that will forward you to the private Facebook group. You have to answer some questions to join the group, and I think that's important to sort of people who don't really belong there. But if you answer these questions, you're getting automatically accepted, and then you will be able to exchange with other like-minded people there. And for the people that are new to the show, I have something awesome that you can download for free. It's called The 7 Strategies of Highly Successful Electronic Music Artists. And that is a free PDF in which I have collected basically the things that have worked for my most successful studio clients. So some of them play the biggest festivals on earth. Some of them are underground techno legends. And simply by talking to them, by working with them, by having that deep exchange year after year in my studio business, I have figured out a couple of things that seem to be working more or less across the spectrum. And so it doesn't really matter if you are already experienced and have some fan base going, or if you're just starting out and growing your little audience. These things are going to help you tremendously, I believe. And you can get this PDF for free just by going to pickyourselfpodcast.com/free, and this will forward you to the download page. Okay, let's now come to this week's episode. It's called Things Successful Artists Do. Now, this is pretty similar sounding to last week's episode, which was Things Successful Artists Don't Do, but I thought it might make sense to do some continuation from a different perspective, but on the same topics. So now that you know what behavior you should avoid from last week's episode, it's now time to talk about what you can actively do to push your music career in the right direction. And in this episode, I'm going to show you 7 things that music producers and DJs with some level of success are doing to make things happen. Now, if we talk about things successful artists do, we have to be super careful not to lose ourselves in some exhausting discussion about self-optimization. Because yes, I could tell you, like many other sources do, that you need to get up at 5 a.m., work out like a special forces soldier first thing in the morning, and then win the day by doing so again and again. And well, this is at least the stuff that you read everywhere online as well as in various books, and some people swear, for example, by techniques like the miracle morning or whatever new flashy self-optimization trend is happening right now. And just don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily want to dismiss any of these techniques. There is a place for these things, and I also believe that they can be powerful for some people, but I encourage you to be cautious with this stuff, because as an artist, you have to carefully listen to yourself and also be mindful when it comes to setting up certain routines and practices. To me, there is no miracle recipe that works for everybody. So some people might be super happy with getting up at 5 a.m., doing a special workout, and then win the day by also doing an hour of meditation and whatever else is on their schedule. But for other people, this doesn't work in that way, and they have to find something else that works. So I'm not going to use this episode to preach some self-help technique in a way. And what I am going to talk about instead is I'm going to cover the underlying principles of success that I think work in the music industry, especially the electronic music industry of today. So what are the 7 things successful artists do? Okay, the first thing on my list is they go all in on their unique strengths. You might have heard this saying, Jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah. So what does that mean? Jack of all trades, master of none basically means you kind of know how to do many things, but you don't know what you're really, really good at. You have no specialization. You don't master a certain technique or a certain type of production style or whatever. And what I want to say with that here is, it means that specialization is a good thing. And that's also true for music producers and DJs. So successful artists have found out what they're really, really good at, and they know exactly how to capitalize on their unique strengths. So for you, that means you don't have to be a master of every form of synthesis. And there's no reason you need to learn programming weird Max for Live patches in Ableton if that's not your thing. And you also don't have to enter the world of modular synthesizers just to be successful. You don't have to know all these things. Find a few things that you really, really like and go all in. So if you love mashing up field recordings, then that's your thing. Dominik Eulberg, for example, has built an incredible career out of his inspiration from nature and the field recordings that he grabbed there. Richard Devine, on the other hand, he's known for his ultra deep understanding of modular synthesis, so he is the modular synthesizer guy. Yeah, and that's a great thing. And then other artists are known for different things. Paula Temple, for example, she's just crushing it in the super heavy, extreme industrial techno scene, I would say. That is her style. That is the thing that she's really, really good at. Using these grimy textures, these super intense, they almost hurt your ears sometimes, these productions. That is her thing. That's what she's known for. And your goal should be to experiment with a lot of styles and techniques early on in your career, and then dive super deep into the things that resonate with you the most. And the main reason why I've put this as number 1 on my list of things successful artists do is because I believe that this is one of the absolute game changers, and it helps you stand out as an artist. And by the way, I've also recorded an episode on that, how to stand out as an upcoming artist. You can go back and listen to that episode. It's super helpful. It does not only talk about the production techniques that help you stand out, it also talks about things like branding and so on. Okay, number 2. They eliminate, automate, or delegate things that are holding them back from achieving their goals. Okay, that might sound strange to some of you. What does that even mean? Eliminate, automate, delegate, things that are holding you back. You might have heard of a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And yes, I know this is a super stupid clickbait type title, but the content is actually quite good. Also, his writing style back then was really horrible in my opinion. He's doing a way better job right now. But still, the content is extremely valuable. And one of the things that Tim preaches in this book is to remove the things from your life that you either can't do properly, you hate doing, or you just don't have the time for. And successful artists have understood this, even if only a few of them have probably read this book. They focus their time and energy on the things that they are really, really good at, that they love doing, and the things that create massive value for their fan base. And that can range from writing new songs to playing shows and sharing their social media journey and so on, or giving interviews, giving background stories, whatever. All of these things add massive value to their fan base, and these are usually things that they like doing. But do you really think they all mix and master their own songs, for example? Or do you think they do their taxes manually? Or clean their studios all the time? Well, hell no. Why would they waste these valuable hours in such a way? It just doesn't make sense. And you might now say, well, they at least have the money to pay someone or to take care of these things. But actually, a lot of things can be achieved without any investment at all, or with very little money. And this point here on my list is mostly about a certain mindset. You should adopt a mindset in which you just brainstorm what can you eliminate, what can you automate, or what can you delegate to make your life easier and to have more time and more resources available for the things that truly make a difference. So let's go through this step by step. First of all, the elimination part of it. You have to ask yourself, do I really need to do this? And if the answer is no, or a very unconvincing maybe, then you might as well eliminate this from your to-do list once and for all. A good example of this would be adding random people on SoundCloud or social media, hoping that they will follow back and increase your number of fans. Well, honestly, do you really think this is helping your career overall? Most of the people that follow back are strange bots. Most of the people will never look at your profile again, even if they follow you, even if they see the first posts that you're creating after the ad. And maybe a very little percentage of let's say 0.1 to 0.5% is actually going to stick with you because they really like what you're doing. I don't think that this makes sense. I think you can completely eliminate things like that and replace these short-sighted tactics with something more meaningful, something that adds value to people's lives, something that makes a difference for your fan base, even if it's just a little fan base. Think about them, not about you gaining a couple of more followers in social channels. And then you can move to automation. So if you can't eliminate something, you might want to check if you can automate the process somehow. So robots are taking over the world anyway, so you might as well just try to benefit from this technology right now. And a good example of this would be bookkeeping. So of course you could collect old school receipts, put them in a shoebox and manually design a spreadsheet in which you enter your numbers. And honestly, a better way of handling this is to just use some kind of digital bookkeeping software that automates a lot of the most tedious tasks and integrates directly with your bank account. Now, this sounds super techy and super nerdy, I don't know. But this is the stuff that makes a difference. Do you want to spend 3 hours sorting through your bookkeeping, or do you just want to spend half an hour and use the other time to make music? Well, I would much rather pay for a service and automate things and then have more time for other things that truly matter to me and to my audience. And then if the automation part is impossible, you can move on to delegation. Sometimes it's necessary to delegate things. So whether that's paying someone to clean your studio once a week or sharing part of your revenue with a booking agency so they do the heavy lifting for you when it comes to playing more shows, you will have to outsource some aspect of your artist career so you can focus on adding maximum value to your fan base. And the main reason, for example, why I get paid to mix and master other people's music is that they have completely lost all objectivity on their songs and just want to move on to produce the next song because that matters to their fans. Plus, of course, they enjoy the feeling of relief that the music is in good hands overall and is going to sound great in the club as well as on Spotify and Beatports and headphones and home listening systems and like every playback device. But overall, the main reason why they delegate these things to a professional studio is that they can use that time better. Okay, let's come to number 3 now. And that is successful music producers and DJs say no very often. So in last week's episode, I've explained why successful artists don't say yes to every opportunity that comes their way. But not saying yes is one thing, but saying no intentionally is something else. And that's a really important distinction. Saying no is one of the things successful artists do because they have to make clear and conscious decisions over and over again in their career. About their music, their style, but also their artist brand, who they want to work with, who they partner with. So they have to make these decisions again and again, and most of them require a clear yes or a clear no, and the clear no is definitely happening more often. And so in these moments where you're not sure if you want to say no or if you want to say yes, I always refer people to one quote by Derek Sivers. So Derek Sivers is the founder of CD Baby, a super influential independent distribution company. And he has founded this company. He became a really influential figure in the whole music and tech scene. And he has written a book called Anything You Want. It's a very short book that helps you, kind of figure out your way. Really, really cool book. And Derek Sivers has one way of deciding if he wants to participate in something or not. He says, it's either hell yeah or no. That's it. That's the quote I want to share with you. It's either hell yeah or no. I really love this quote. It's so clear, it's so short, and so to the point. And saying no is painful. It has to be painful. But believe me, it's not as painful as saying yes to something which you might regret real soon. And this idea of hell yeah or no protects you from that shallow maybe yes. Just to give you an example, let's say an old friend of yours is inviting you to play at a party. And the money isn't bad, and apart from that, you feel like you owe him a favor, so you kind of need to say yes. Actually, most of us would say yes in this situation, but we would cringe a little when we think about that party. It's not the right audience, it's a bad sound system in a shitty club with a bad reputation. The promoters are telling you, please don't play too hard or please don't play too soft. People like to hear this track or that track. So these types of comments before the gig that you hate, you know what I mean. So this type of situation. Well, if you follow Derek's principle of hell yeah or no, You know exactly what to do in these situations. Of course you're gonna say no. And some of my close and very successful artist friends, they have even fired their booking agents because they wanted them to play at clubs that paid good money but had a very bad reputation. Yes, that was painful. They had been partners for many years with that booking agent. And saying no is one of the things successful artists do a lot better than unsuccessful ones, even early on in their careers. They just have this gut feeling of, it's not a hell yes, so it better is a no. Okay, number 4 on the list. They focus on strategies rather than tactics. So these days, it's easy to get lost in tactics because we're being bombarded with ads that try to sell us whatever the 3-step secret success formula for Instagram ads, or some clickbait articles on that present shallow information as the next big thing that you have to do. You have to jump on the bandwagon for this, otherwise you miss out on a big opportunity. And focusing on strategies rather than tactics is one of the most important things successful artists do, because it allows them to think bigger. It allows them to put their energy into what is going to make a difference in 5 years, in 10 years from now. And tactics are flashy, tactics are sexy, because they are close to the current trend. It's fun to engage in tactics. It's fun to get quick results. And strategies, on the other hand, they are boring. They are slow burners. They require a lot of mental energy, and you have to fully commit to something for a longer period of time. So by definition, strategies are more complex and harder to implement. But keep this in mind. Tactics might win the battle. Strategies are going to win the war. So let's think in. Tactics might win the battle, strategies are going to win the war. So what do you want to engage in? Do you want to engage in the next little Instagram hack, or do you want to engage in a strategy that really makes a difference? Let me give you a quick example. You can either put your time into following the latest hacks to gain more Instagram followers, or you could invest that energy and that time into carefully refining your artist brand. There's, by the way, also an episode on that. The first one is a tactic that for sure is going to give you quick results in the form of 1,000 new followers in social media in the next month. Yeah, for sure there are tactics out there that help you achieve this. The second option is a long-term strategy. So that is going to help you grow a tribe of 1,000 true fans over the next 5 or 10 years. Okay, so what are you going to do? What is going to make a difference in the end? Do you want to have 1,000 new followers next month? Or do you want to have a tribe of true fans? 1,000 true fans over the next 5 to 10 years? Well, I would definitely go for the second option, because are these followers really helpful? It looks nice. It kind of caters to your ego right now. But it's not gonna help you in the end, because what is a follower? What is a follower worth to you? Are they really engaged? Are these people that are truly interested in you? Or have they just clicked like because of your tactic? Are they disappearing really fast? Do they never like something again that you put out there? What if Instagram or any other social media network changes their algorithm? Yeah, you're screwed if they change your algorithm. Your whole tactics are not worth anything anymore. So I definitely advise you to go for winning the war and not the battle, and therefore you should engage in strategies rather than tactics. That is the more important thing. Alright, let's come to number 5. They put music creation at the center of their lives as well as in their calendars. So I'm sorry to say this, but if you have a full-time day job, it's going to be tough to follow this advice. One of the things successful artists do is that they build their schedule around their creative process. They design their life in a way so that it facilitates the most creative growth. They know exactly at which times every day and every week they're most likely to make full use of their creativity, and everything else is basically irrelevant during these deep work hours. So truly dedicating your life to music means that your daily life consists mainly of things that have to do with the creation of music, as well as the promotion of it, of course. And just dreaming of having more time for it while having a full-time day job simply isn't the same thing. You have to dedicate the most precious time slots of the week to the things that are more important than anything else. So back in episode 25, we talked about time management principles that work for artists and music producers and DJs. So go back to that episode if you want to find out more about time management in general. But Okay, overall, please bear with me here because I have now said, yeah, it's hard to follow this advice if you have a full-time day job. On the other hand, even if you have a day job, this can be part of a bigger plan that ultimately makes it possible to put music creation at the center of your life. So don't stress out if you still have a full-time day job and you dream of making a music career. You could be saving up, for example, for a sabbatical where you focus on your music career completely. Or you save up for slowly transitioning into a half-time position in your job. So that makes it possible to spend more time and more focus and more energy on the music that matters most to you. Okay, number 6. Successful artists surround themselves with like-minded people who push and support each other. So this is one of the most powerful things successful artists do, but it's also one of the easiest things to implement. What's important here is that you don't see other artists in your league as competition. Just see them as partners, as collaborators, as people that add something to your life potentially. And you're maybe not sitting in the same boat, but you're definitely sailing in the same storm, which means you need each other in a way. Because it's fantastic to have some kind of support group of like-minded artists around you who help each other and who support each other. And there will always be some rotten apples, but just don't care about them. It doesn't matter. And this point here of surrounding yourself with like-minded people is the main reason why I have decided to create this community on Facebook. So once again, the little plug for that, go to pickyourselfpodcast.com/community. I wanted to create a place that facilitates this exchange between like-minded artists who are interested in supporting each other. And I definitely know that my blog readers and podcast listeners are different from most upcoming artists out there. So you, just by listening to this podcast, you are interested in growth. You have this growth mindset. So I believe that you should have a chance to meet people like you. People that are interested in the same goals, people that will potentially help you solve problems, and you can help them solve problems, and that is amazing. Okay, last but not least, number 7 on my list, they build up grit to persevere in tough times. So overall, it's a long road to success in the music industry, as you know, and your journey for sure won't be easy. And so grit, which is defined as the power to persevere, is one of the most important skills you need to develop and train. Also, it's something that makes you very attractive to work with from a music industry perspective. So if you go back to that episode we made on how to appeal to music industry professionals, in this episode, grit was among the most important factors. So people are interested in working with you. If you can show that you have grit in tough times, that you can persevere in tough times, then this makes you very attractive to work with. And of all the things successful artists do, this is probably the one that ensures a long-term career instead of just a short moment of stardom. And building up grit can happen in many forms. Most importantly, you have to adopt a so-called growth mindset that allows you to believe in unlimited self-growth rather than a fixed limit of skills and talent. And if you're facing an obstacle, you just don't complain about it. You figure out a way, you figure out how to make the best of this situation. And this is also the main reason why I'm preaching to invest in learning and invest in your self-growth, as well as coaching, for example. It allows you to open up your mind to new possibilities, and it allows you to let go of limiting beliefs. So many of my coaching clients, for example, are super talented, super ambitious to learn new skills, but they lack this important bit of self-esteem that's necessary to build a successful career. And believe me, this is something that you can work on. This is often just a limiting belief, and you can grow beyond that. You can grow beyond these self-imposed limits. And grit is one of the most important factors that you have to develop to overcome these obstacles, as well as just the very mundane obstacles of not getting booked. You can give up and give in into frustration and complain about it, or you can just figure out a new way of approaching promoters, a new way of writing outreach emails to clubs, a new way to get in touch with booking agents. Yeah, so there's always some kind of solution that works. You just have to have that grit to overcome these very tough times in between. Okay, how can you put this into action now? Things successful artists do. You You should have a very good overview right now of the 7 things successful artists do, so let's take a close look at how you can work on this. I'm giving you 3 dedicated action steps that you can implement right away, and we start with number 1 here. And that is identify the areas that are going to help you most in your current situation. So maybe you're really good at building relationships with other people in the music industry, but you have a problem with saying no in the right moment. Maybe you haven't figured out what your unique strength is, but you have other boxes ticked in this list. So whatever it is, analyze which aspects might offer you the biggest growth potential right now, the biggest return on your investment of time and energy. Now the second action step is you map out how you're planning to address these points in a strategic way. So clearly prioritize which of these points you want to address first and how you want to do it. And please do this in written form, this is really important. And make sure you integrate them as much as possible in your day-to-day so it becomes an automatic habit. And action step number 3, take the first step of the first item on your list right now. So you really don't want to procrastinate on this, so walk the walk and don't just talk the talk. Pick the first and most important thing on your list and commit to taking the very first step of it right now. Let me give you an example. Let's say you struggle with the point of elimination, automation, and delegation. Your first step of this could be to create a list of things that you're either not doing properly, or you hate doing, or you just don't have the time to do. And making this list can be a very good first step for the first most important item for you. So think about that strategically, decide what you want to start with and decide what that first step is and do it. Just start with it. It's not gonna hurt. Okay, that's it for this week's episode. I hope it has helped you and I'd love to hear from you. Which of these things successful artists do is the most important one to you personally? Where do you see the biggest growth potential for you as an artist? I would love to hear from you. You can go to the comment section, pickyourselfpodcast.com. We have a detailed blog post for every single episode, including a comment section below. You can also join the discussion in our Facebook community, so pickyourselfpodcast.com/community. There we have a dedicated discussion thread for every single episode, and people engage with that, people discuss here. And I would love to have you in this circle as well. So go to pickyourselfpodcast.com/community and we'll have a chat there. And if you haven't already, make sure you download your free copy of the 7 Strategies of Successful Electronic Music Artists. That's a short, to-the-point PDF guide. It's completely free, and you can get it at pickyourselfpodcast.com/free. Apart from that, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see you next week again. Bye-bye. If you don't want to miss any of the upcoming episodes, please make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And you can find detailed blog posts for every single episode on pickyourselfpodcast.com. Until then, see you next time.